Good morning, students. I am in my office and ready to talk to you about the ruler reading lab that we're doing this week. So in the ruler reading lab, the thing that I wanted to discuss is making your own ruler, because I just wanted to make sure this was clear. So you should have some type of ruler already that measures in millimeters. So any like ruler that you would hopefully use for school, it'll have an inches side, but it'll also have a millimeter side. And you'll know it's a millimeter ruler because even though it might say centimeters on it, there's going to be lines in between the 0 centimeter and the 1 centimeter. Those lines are your millimeter graduations. And what our goal is to take this ruler and utilize it so that we can make 2 other rulers from our own materials. So I have a stiff folder right here that I can use to make my ruler. I could also use cardstock. I could use maybe, note cards taped together. If we don't have anything that is stiffer, we could just take a regular sheet of paper and fold it in thirds to just give it a little bit more structure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my to become a ruler stiff piece of paper and my regular ruler, and I'm going to essentially line them up, and then I'm going to start making marks. The marks that I want you to make is I want you to turn your cardstock into 2 different kinds of rulers. One is with graduations every 1 centimeter, and that's it. So we're not going to put in those millimeter graduations. So we're going to put in a graduation at the 0 centimeter, at the 1 centimeter, at the 2 centimeter, at the 3 centimeter, so that I'm making my own ruler right here. And then I want to make another ruler where I'm going to start at the 0 centimeter and the 10. And then depending upon how long your ruler is, we'll have to scooch that down and measure another 10 centimeters from there, because 10 centimeters is a decimeter. So this one looks a little bit different. I have less markings. Basically, what I'm trying to get you to do is recreate the ruler we use in lab. So the ruler that we would use in lab this is the decimeter ruler side, where there's just a color change to indicate that that's your graduation between your 1 decimeter, 2 decimeter, 3 decimeter, which is 10 centimeters, 20 centimeters, 30 centimeters. And then when we turn this particular ruler, then we get to the centimeter side where there's a mark for every centimeter. This one actually has additional marks that I want to ignore. And then when we turn it again, we get to the side that has the millimeter markings. And when we read a ruler, it's really actually tough to do. It doesn't sound like it should be tough, but it is kind of tough. So what I want you to do once you've made your ruler is to find 3 objects in your house that are of varying size that you are going to measure. It can be anything that suits the size of your ruler. Ideally, we'd want something kind of small, medium, maybe a little bit larger. And when I say large, I mean, however big you made your ruler, you can't make the thing you're measuring bigger than that. So smaller than the size that you made for your own at-home ruler. And I do want you to take a photo of yourself measuring, right, so that I can see your rulers. The other thing that I want to do is talk a little bit about the data table. So in the data table, it's set up so that on the left-hand side, it says 10 centimeter, 1 centimeter, and 1 millimeter ruler. You don't have to measure in those units associated with the ruler. You can if you want to, but you could also report all your units in centimeters, and that would be perfectly fine. The the way that I'm trying to illustrate this is your 10 centimeter ruler, that's the same as 1 decimeter, right? Your 1 millimeter ruler, 1 millimeter is the same as 0.1 centimeters. So however it makes sense to you is how you should do it. Just make sure you include your units. Now, when I start measuring things, I want to lead you through, say, the decimeter ruler together. So I've got my decimeter ruler right here. And let's pretend I'm going to measure these Post-it notes. And so I'm line up my Post-it notes with the edge of the ruler, and notice how my Post-it notes, they don't even make it to the first line. They don't even make it to the 1 decimeter, which is the same thing as 10 centimeters. They don't make it to the first graduation, so they're less than that. Now, because they're less than that, you are certainly estimating, right? You're looking at that going, could be 7, could be 8, I'm not sure. Great, because your last digit in any measurement is always estimated. So you're measuring this thing and you're like, could be 7, could be 8. Great, pick one. And then you could write it in 8 centimeters, or you could write 0.8 decimeters, whichever makes sense to your brain. Now, if we change what we're measuring and we measure something a little bit bigger, this block that I'm measuring is past the 1 decimeter, also known as the 10 centimeter mark. So now we have to look at it and say, how far past that 1 decimeter mark is this going? So we are certain that it passed the graduation right here. Then we're estimating how far along it went. So if we put it back up, you might look at it and go, that could be, I don't know, 12-ish. 12 could be okay. Maybe 13 would be okay. Then you're estimating, in that case, still the last digit. You're estimating the ones place because you're certain that we got to at least 10 centimeters. So if you're reporting this as 12 centimeters, you're certain of the 1 in the tens place, and you're estimating the 2 in the ones place. And every time you change your ruler, so as you go from the 10 centimeter ruler, which is also your decimeter ruler, as you switch that to your centimeter ruler, which has more graduations, you should add a significant figure. You should be able to estimate the next digit to the right. As we turn to the millimeter ruler, the same thing is going to happen. You are going to gain a significant figure. You're going to change which location in the measurement you are estimating. What do you do if you're looking at something and you're like, dang, that is spot on 1 decimeter? What do? You're not estimating the 1 decimeter, because if you were, that would mean you actually had this whole meter stick with no graduations on it. And you'd just be estimating the 1, because the last digit is always the estimated digit. So if you think that whatever you're measuring is right on a graduation, always have to add an additional 0 there. If you don't add that additional 0, you're actually communicating to the reader that you're using a different ruler that's less precise. Let's also look at some of these questions. Question 1 says which device, so which measuring device, which ruler, resulted in the largest number of significant figures past the decimal. That is going to be a tough question for you to answer if you report your answers in decimeters, centimeters, and millimeters. So if you do that, reword the question, which of these measuring devices results in the most significant figures? If you report everything in centimeters, then this is going to be, then question 1 is going to be one that you can answer confidently. We've already said the answer out loud in this video for question 3. So if you didn't catch it, go back and listen again. And we've also kind of answered question 4 in this video as well. So you can go and rewatch this if you get stuck on those 2 questions. Then I want to talk about question 5 and 6. Question 5 says, is it more important to use a more precise measuring device when measuring a large object or a small object? A lot of the time students will look at this and go, it's important to use a measuring device that's precise every time you measure. Well, I mean, yeah, that is true, but I'm giving you a scenario. I'm saying you have 2 things that you're measuring. One is small, say the Post-it notes, and one is the big, the length of the room. And you can use the precise measuring device on one of them. What's more important? Measuring something small with the precise measuring device or measuring something big? And I want you to think about when we measure this Post-it note with our imprecise measuring device. Our measurement, the entire measurement was essentially guessed, right? Was estimated. So, I don't know. I'm gonna let you think about that once more. I mean, I do know, but I don't want to give you the answer. I want you to think about it. Let's see. Number 6, what information about the measuring instrument is given in a particular number of significant figures? So when I look at your labs, I can see what ruler you've used based upon how many digits you report. Because the more precise the measuring device, the more significant figures you should have. So I know what ruler you used just based on how many digits you reported. Okay, so I think that's going to walk you through the majority of the pitfalls that come up during this activity, this lab. So give that lab a try. I'm excited to see your rulers, and I will check in again with you soon. Thanks so much. Bye.